Welcome to this training session on Mint Network Administration Phase 2, which is about configuring B2B exchanges for SMTP. Before we dive into the core content of the Mint Network Administration Level 2 Configuring B2B Exchanges course, let's quickly go over the prerequisites. Have you completed Mint Network Administration Level 1, Managing Your Digital Twin, lab-based training? If so, that's great. Just confirm that all lab exercises from the course are completed before proceeding. This confirms that you've created a process network, linked it to a partner, added users, and completed a UI2Y transaction successfully. This course builds directly on those foundations, so you'll want to be comfortable with the basic administration capabilities. So this is what we have on the agenda for today. First, we'll take a look at the foundations. Then, B2B configuration for SMTP transactions, how to create B2B connections in XTT AWS, how to create and enable transform sets, then how to associate B2B connections, configure link settings, configure message settings, and send a B2B transaction. Let's start with a recap from level 1, managing your digital twin. First, we established that administration is the management of your digital twin. As an administrator, you're responsible for structuring and maintaining your organization's digital representation within the platform. We learned that process networks create shared digital workspaces that orchestrate different types of business processes through a single platform. This is the foundation of collaboration across the network. Then we covered how to add partners and link to them. Linking enables the shared workspace and allows secure collaboration with external organizations. We also discussed how to populate the shared workspace by adding users. Assigning the right users ensures proper access, ownership, and operational control within the network. Now the final point, configuring the B2B transaction exchange to send and receive data across links, is what we're going to focus on in this course. Let's now move on to B2B configuration for SMTP transactions. Here we have a use case. TLU Owner is a global pharmaceutical organization operating as an MAH. Due to increasing demand for its proprietary drugs, TLU Owner has partnered with TLU Partner, a CMO, to expand production capacity. In earlier phases, TLU Owner and TLU Partner successfully completed UI2Y transactions within the Mint platform. However, to support scalable, automated, and secure data exchange between enterprise systems, TLU Owner must now enable B2B integration using industry standard protocols such as SFTP or SMTP or AS2. For this lab session, we're going to focus on configurations for SMTP transactions. You are acting as a system administrator and also have network and app administrator roles at TLU Owner. You're responsible for configuring Mint to enable secure and automated B2B transactions with TLU Partner. Your objective is to set up the required B2B components to support successful service-to-service purchase order exchanges. This is the list of all licensed applications. The owner company already has all the required applications licensed, and the user has been assigned the appropriate roles. So let's look at the steps needed for B2B configuration. These are not necessarily to be in order. To start out, you'll create a B2B connection in Extensible TraceLink Transfer XTT app. You create and enable transform sets. You create associate B2B connections. You'll configure the link created in link settings. And once that's done, you'll configure message settings. You then send a B2B transaction to validate the complete end-to-end configuration. So this is the general process we'll be following during the course. Let's now look at the configurations required to send B2B transactions through SMTP connections. The picture here depicts the fundamental flow of a Mint transaction being sent from the MAH to the CMO. You send an email with a transaction attached, for example, a purchase order, to TraceLink. XTT, which stands for Extensible TraceLink Transfer, receives this file, identifies the correct application, in this case it's Mint, and sends the file to B2B. After receiving a file from XTT, B2B transforms the inbound file to the canonical. Canonical is TraceLink's recognized file and sends the file to your Mint application. Mint determines that an outbound file is required to seller and sends the canonical to B2B. B2B again transforms the outbound file to the CMO's format and sends the file to the seller's SMTP connection. The outbound message is routed to the appropriate SMTP connection, ensuring it reaches the intended partner. In the following slides, we're going to explore each component in detail. Let's briefly go through the steps to create an SMTP connection. SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol and is used for sending and relaying email messages across the internet. There are 3 clear steps. First, connection name. Here we create a unique name for the SMTP B2B connection. Use a clear and consistent naming convention so it's easy to identify and manage later. Then, inbound configuration. We select the message type, for example, purchase order, and generate the email address. This generated address is where you'll send your messages. And lastly, outbound configuration. We again select the message type and define the sending partner. This determines what we receive and from whom. Next, we'll look at the XTT, which is TraceLink's B2B gateway. XTT stands for Extensible TraceLink Transfer. Think of XTT as a data traffic controller. This is where all incoming and outgoing data first arrives before they are processed according to the B2B configurations. It supports AS2, SFTP, and SMTP protocols. To utilize the XTT AWS application, specific roles are required. Member with standard access. This role allows access to read APIs. Application administrator. This role provides access to write APIs, enabling the importing, adding, and removing of certificates. So XTT allows you to configure your B2B connection and gives an info exchange-like view of the B2B transactions that come in and out of the B2B gateway. To start out, you'll create a B2B link in XTT AWS app. I'm now going to show you how to add a new SMTP B2B connection. From the main menu, select Extensible TraceLink Transfer. Then go to B2B Connections and SMTP Email. Click on Add New. Then enter a connection name. In the Inbound Outlist Domain section, select Add, and then enter the allowed domain. We're going to enter gmail.com here. Scroll down. Then in the inbound configuration, select Add New, enter a base email address, message type, this is for a purchase order. For the receiving partner, this can be left blank. Then enter the allowed sender email address. Select Apply, then Save. Note the new B2B connection will be created and displayed in the list of all B2B connections. An email address will be created as well. Now on to creating and enabling transform sets. Different companies often use different data formats and standards. The transform set acts as a translator, converting data from one format to another, so that both the sending and receiving systems can understand and use the information without compatibility issues. The transform set changes the format of the incoming file to a standard format, i.e. TraceLink's canonical, that TraceLink uses. Then, before sending it out, it can convert the file again into the specific format the receiving system needs. So basically, a transform is a map used to convert data from one format to another. For example, edifact file to idoc file. Transform set is a collection of transforms. When you associate a transform set with a B2B connection, which we have created in XTT, all the messages flowing from the specific B2B connection use this transform set. Additionally, you can edit or remove a transform set. This will not have any impact on its association. For this activity, you'll need to configure two types of company-specific transforms. Chain transforms to enable sending via SMTP, email, and post-processing transform, PPT. This is done in the integration catalog application. What is a chain transform? A chain transform is required when a file must go through multiple mapping steps. For example, a file sent in as an email attachment must be extracted from the email in one step and mapped to the canonical in a second step. What is a post-processing transform? PPT. In simple terms, PPT is a rule that helps B2B TP decide where a transaction should go when a company has more than one process network. It uses a static mapping of the transaction's object type or subtype to choose the right process network, and it's different for each owner company. In the next demo, we'll take a look at how to add transform sets and then associate the transform set with a B2B connection. From the main menu, go to Integration Catalog and Transforms. Then Company, select Add New, and we'll enter the following fields. First, a transform name. It's helpful to use a descriptive name because you'll need one for each transaction. For the output opus schema, we'll leave this blank, and the input opus schema will also leave this blank. Then enter a description and save. Under the version information, we need the input MIME type. This will be JSON. Output, also JSON. And outbound, JSON 2. For the B2B transaction direction, we'll leave this blank. Then under Transform Steps, select Add New. Enter the step name. We'll enter the step details. And the step type. And the step type. Catalog type. This is Marketplace. And catalog entry. Then select Apply. Now to transform EDI 850 file to canonical, select Add. Enter the step name, step details, and step type. Catalog type, again Marketplace. Catalog entry. Then select Apply. Once you've entered these, select Save. Now to create the transform set, go to Administration, B2B Integration, and Transform Sets. Select Add New. Enter a transform set name. And click on the Add icon under Transforms. Enter the application, in this case, Mint. Message type. This is for a purchase order. Direction. This is inbound. Catalog, company. And transform name. Then select Apply. And save. Now we're going to associate the transform set with the B2B connection. Once the transform set is created, it needs to be associated with the SMTP connection. From the transform sets page, click into the transform set you've created, select Edit. For the association type, select B2B connections. For locations, leave this empty. And for the B2B connection, select the one you've created. Then save. I'm now going to upload the PPT into the owner's account. To do that, we'll navigate to the integration catalog from the main menu. I've already got one open, so I'll just go here. Then select Add New, and we'll enter a transform name. And the output opus schema and the input opus schema will leave blank. I'll just enter this for the description and save. We now need to configure the transform details. Under version information, leave the input, output, and outbound fields blank. For B2B transaction direction, select inbound. Under transform steps, select add, enter a step name. You can leave the step details blank, then enter a step type. This is the one we're selecting. Then we upload the PPT file. Select apply and save. Once the PPT is uploaded to the owner's account, we need to add it to a transform set and indicate the transactions that we'll use. Now on to connection associations. Conceptually, connection association answers which door does this B2B connection use for this entity and message type. They ensure that when you send or receive transactions, they are tied to the right company or location on the TraceLink network. If a company owner is sending a purchase order to a partner, the connection association will determine how that order is routed through Mint, ensuring that it reaches the correct destination based on the established associations. You can associate the B2B connection to your company level or to a location, so messages you're sending come from the right entity and the messages you receive go to the right entity. I'm now going to show you how to associate inbound and outbound B2B connections. Go to the main menu and select Administration. Again, I have the Administration tab open, so I'll just go here. Go to B2B Integration, and this time Connection Association. If you haven't already got a filter applied, you can select a filter. I have the filter applied already. On the Search Connection Association screen, you can see that the inbound association is already created. To associate outbound B2B connections, click New. On the B2B connection, select your B2B connection. Direction is outbound. You'll notice that it's associated with the company level by default. We'll keep the default setting. Then select Save. The outbound B2B association is now added. Now on to link settings. Link settings are essential for defining how messages are routed between sender and receiver entities in the Mint network. They ensure that the correct messages reach the intended recipients. Properly configured link settings facilitate seamless communication and data exchange between companies. They help identify sender and receiver network node IDs, which are crucial for processing transactions accurately. I'm going to demo now how to configure link settings for a B2B connection. Again, from the main menu, go to Administration. I'll go to the tab already open. B2B Integrations, this time Link Settings. Select Add New. In the B2B Connection section, enter your B2B connection. Select your owner, and then your GLN. Then select Save. The link settings are successfully added. To link a partner, once again in B2B Integration and Link Settings, select Add New. Enter your B2B connection. The company or location is now your partner. Then enter the company ID. This is the one for your partner. Then select Save. and the link settings are now successfully added for your partner. Now on to managing settings. When setting up B2B connections, whether for inbound receiving or outbound sending communications, it's essential to ensure that all data exchanges are properly routed to the correct destination. For this, you'll add your company and transform set, post-processing transform PPT. I'm now going to demo how to set up message settings to exchange message transactions with partners. Once again, in administration, go to B2B integration and message settings. Click on Add New. Enter the application. This is Mint, Multi-Enterprise Information Network Tower. The company or location owner, and the routing transform set. The linked identifier section is not required. In the message delivery rules, keep the owner-to-owner switch as the default. Delivery options, transform and deliver, and message type, MPC, purchase order. Then save. Now, how to send a B2B transaction. Open your Gmail to compose a new email. Attach the given purchase order to this email. Just enter a subject, for example, test. Once you've sent the email, we can check the status of the file sent on XTT. In Extensible TraceLink Transfer, go to B2B Messages. You can see here the file is successfully transferred. Now we're going to view the Mint External Manufacturing Orchestration Network. To do this, go to the main menu, My Networks, and select your network. We're selecting this one, Mint for Medical Devices. Then Go. In the side menu, go to Manufacturing Customer and Purchase Orders. Here we can see the purchase order we've created. The partner will also have the same view of the data on their side. During this course, you configured the full end-to-end setup required for secure B2B communication. To confirm everything was working as expected, you tested the setup by sending a purchase order and reviewing the transaction results. At this point, the integration is fully configured and verified. You now understand the complete life cycle from connection setup to successful transaction exchange. That brings us to the end of this training session. Firstly, we went through the foundations recap. Then the B2B configuration for SMTP transactions. How to create a B2B connection in XTT AWS. How to create and enable transform sets. How to associate B2B connections. Configure link settings. Configure message settings. And then how to send a B2B transaction. If you have any questions, please feel free to email TraceLink University at tracelink.com. Thank you for your time today.